So my name is Coach West with Look Faith First, and I am really excited about the topic we have today. This is something that we've done for a couple of years. It's called the 12 Days of Excellence. And when we first did it, there were some things that were really impactful about it, but what we recognized is that there were other things that were situational. I mean, they were only impactful for certain situations and for certain people. And so with now being Look Faith First, and now it being 2017, I mean, we're always improving like we ask you to do. So we have improved our 12 Days of Excellence. Now, the 12 Days of Excellence really has multiple purposes. It has to do with getting your mind, your spirit, and really getting your academics on point to fulfill your full potential and your full purpose in 2017. And what's really exciting about this is our first topic that just really sets all this in motion is the most important one, which is intentional living. So the idea of intentional living, a lot of people are familiar about it, do the things that are going to help you get to where you want to go. But, really for us, it has a deeper meaning and came from, a purer source, if you want to call it that. Napoleon Hill is actually one of our favorite authors. Most people are familiar with, Think and Grow Rich, probably one of the most popular self-help books in the entire world. But a lot of people aren't as familiar with a book that he did called Outwitting the Devil. And in Outwitting the Devil, what he talked about is the human condition to be unintentional. He called it being drifters. And basically, these are people who take actions and do things without really specifically thinking about what they're trying to accomplish and not specifically thinking about what it is that they're going to get as a result of it. So intentional living is the exact opposite of that. It's non-drifting. It has to do with us being intentional with every single action and every single moment so that we get the most of every single opportunity that we have. So there are three elements that are really necessary in order to put all this together. Our first one is hyper-purposefulness. And you'll find with a lot of the things that we go over today, there's a lot of duality in our meanings. And so hyper-purposefulness means two things. One, what are we trying to accomplish? Be purposeful of what you're trying to accomplish. But the second has to do with, your heart and your engagement. Has to do with, okay, what type of impact do you want to have on others and how do you want that to impact you? Because when we're purposeful with it and our heart's really in it, the results we get are far more profound. They're far more, again, impactful. So what we want to look at is this, is that when we go into things, we want to be purposeful in what we're trying to accomplish, but purposeful in the source of that motivation. Second, we're going to look at hyper-clarity. So again, our duality meanings here. You want to have hyper-clarity on a couple things. Number one, you be hyper-clear, again, on what success looks like. So even if we go into something with a purpose, we may not be really clear on what success looks like. And we need to be clear on what success looks like in order to gain, that success. But second, we need to be really, really clear on what's holding us back, the obstacles that are there. And finally, we need to be really, really clear on what it's going to take for us to achieve it, to go over those obstacles and ultimately achieve that larger purpose. So now that we're hyper-purposeful, now that we're hyper-clear, now we come to hyper-intentionality. So hyper-intentionality is pretty special because that is where, again, the rubber really meets the road. There are a lot of people who are very purposeful of what they're trying to accomplish. There are a lot of people who are purposeful of what they're, on their motivations and what they're trying to do. A lot of people are clear on what it's going to take and what's in their way and everything. But when it comes down to making the decision, there are a lot of people who are finding challenges with making the right decision. Because that's what we do. Every time we have that moment, we either take a step closer to what we're trying to accomplish, we stay stagnant with where we are, or in all honesty, we take a step back. So, I use a story, it's called, the three frogs on a log. You have three frogs and two decide to jump. How many frogs do you have? Well, most people will tell you, well, you have one. But in reality, just because you decided to do something doesn't necessarily you meant to take action, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you were going to take that action. So you technically have three frogs still in that log until they actually take the action. And the same thing is true in intentionality. With intentionality, when you're in that moment, make sure you're intentional with that choice. Are you going to take a step closer to what you're trying to accomplish? Are you going to decide to stay stagnant with what you're doing? Or, against your own interests, are you going to choose to take a step back? So as the foundation of, again, 12 Days of Excellence, we're really happy to help you get more clarity on what intentional living is. And we're even more excited about seeing you again tomorrow to talk about what you can do to increase that purposefulness in your life and increase that impact of your spirit. Have a great day. God bless.